What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Emilio grinning like a possum in a dumpster down here in Tennessee. He's probably reading the chat. But we're just here to talk a little Packers ball this morning. We got some updates from the Reese Senior Bowl practices. Obviously, we talked to Jake Shavink from the Packernet Podcast Network here. He does the It's Always Draft Season podcast. We got boots on the ground down there. Talked to him last night. Got a few names that he mentioned that he's keeping an eye on, so we'll see where they rank. We'll also take a second to break down a little Baltimore Ravens defense if indeed we do hire one of the 2 or 3 that we've got our eye on there in that organization as the next potential defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. I know the chat's lit too. Tim's back on the soundboard today. So we're good to go. All right. I thought for sure you hit me with a "here we go" right off the bat, but
yeah, I was gonna say, hey, I'm still getting that. Gotta get that diesel in me. Get my wits about me.
And we got our first delivery of merch, right? So we got us a little merch on this morning. All right. So the hoodies are a little big, which is good. If you guys have moobs like me, I got the man.
That's what she said.
That may have been what she said, actually. But anyway, they're a little big, but you know how it is too, man. Sometimes when you order from these sites like this, that stuff will shrink up. Next thing you know, it's a belly shirt. I'm over here looking like Britney Spears filming videos.
That's good,
in my
though. So they run a little big. Now we know. So maybe sometimes, you order a size down or up. That's good to know.
Yep. So the Packer Fan Total Access got approved. Now we'll start on an alternate kind of design, that type of thing. But again, this isn't a clothing line podcast. Just want to let you guys know the merch is available, and
it'll be in the link, right? Description of this.
Absolutely. On this YouTube video, if you click on the description of this video, you'll see a link for both BetUS, and then also you'll see a link for merch store, and that'll send you directly to our store. So got a coffee mug on the way too, so excited about that. But anyway, let's talk some Packers here. Let's go through the chat real quick. I know we got a herd of people just hanging out, insulting each other. That's the way we like it, right? We got Boz in here, Eric Sutherland, Jen Wright. Good to see you, Jen. Let's see who else. Red Mo in the house. What's up, Red Mo? Chewy, Maki in here. Yeah, we got the whole crew. David Mitchell. Good to see you, David. Good stuff. Donovan Schilling up in here as well. M. Smitty. Good morning, M. Smitty. All right, let's do it. Let's just kind of dive into what we're hearing from the Senior Bowl. Okay, first of all, day one of practice in the books. The one that stood out to everyone, I think, was Quinyon Mitchell, right? The cornerback. We asked Jake Shavink, about him, and he's like, yeah, man, he just absolutely dominated essentially. So what I thought I'd do is just kind of take a quick look at Quinyon Mitchell. All right. This is from Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. You guys know I'm big on Daniel Jeremiah. He played quarterback at App State, played college quarterback. His dad was a coach, been around football his entire life. He is like the lead draft analyst / expert for the NFL Network. I know people like to make fun of that and go, what does he actually know? He works for a network. I know the guy before him, and his name escapes me now. But there's Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock was the lead analyst before him, and then he turned around and got a job as a GM, like just a couple years later with the Raiders, right? So I feel like they do a good job picking their lead analysts. But nonetheless, Daniel Jeremiah, he and Bucky Brooks do a phenomenal job. This is what he said on Quinyon Mitchell. He said, Mitchell has excellent size, speed, and toughness for the position. He's at his best in off-man coverage. Packer fans don't want to hear that. He's best when playing off-man coverage, where he plays out of a side turn and eyes the quarterback through the wide receiver. I like that technique. That's kind of cool. He is very situationally aware, settling at the sticks before triggering on the ball. There's a noticeable burst when he drives downhill. He has plenty of speed to turn and carry go routes. He also can quickly restart and recover versus double moves. Occasionally, there's a little tightness when he must flip his hips down the field. He has exceptional ball skills. See his tape from 2022 when he had 5 interceptions, including a pair of pick sixes, but he wasn't challenged very often in 2023. I love his desire and physicality against the run. He never hangs on blocks, and he bursts to the ball carrier before coming to balance and collecting tackles. Before coming to balance, how we arrive at confrontation determines how we handle confrontation, right? Overall, Mitchell is a feisty competitor, an outstanding speed, and a history of ball production. And again, you've seen it on display yesterday in the first wave of practices there at the Senior Bowl. Now, another one that stood out was Max Melton, right? People were talking about Max Melton. If I understood, do you remember, Emilio, did Jake say he was the fastest cornerback recorded yesterday?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
over 20 miles an hour. Yep.
Yeah. So Bo Melton's brother, Max Melton, at the Senior Bowl was recorded as the fastest corner, if we're remembering that correctly. So
they were racing too as kids,
Oh God,
because Bo was the receiver, Max was the corner, and it's perfect work. I mean, you're going up against your brother. Who else is going to work that hard against you?
Absolutely. So when you look at the cornerback list here, I thought let's take a second and break down the corners. In the number 12 spot, and this is the overall big board sorted by cornerbacks, okay? So I'm about to sneeze. It's driving me crazy. So if you look at them, the numbers on the left is their overall ranking, okay? And it's going to be too small a font for me to see where they peaked at, but the small number underneath that big number is where they peaked on the board, all right? So number 12 spot, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Number 15, you got Nate Wiggins. Number 17, Cooper DeJean. Number 18, Terrion Arnold from Alabama. Number 26, Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. So he comes in the 26th spot, Quinyon Mitchell does. All right. Where do we pick again, guys? 25th, right?
5.
So you can see he's kind of in that ballpark. Now, if you look over on the far right, look at the projection, though. He was projected to go number 17 to Jacksonville. So good chance he won't be there, but if he is, there's a slight chance, hey, he might be on the board, right? Kamari Lassiter, cornerback from Georgia, coming in at the 30 spot. His projection is number 29 to Detroit. Another thing to keep in mind, Kool-Aid McKinstry, even though they've got him on the consensus big board in the number 12 spot there at the top, he's projected to go all the way to 22 at Philly. What you see is some of these draft experts are trying to match up scheme. They're trying to match up, just a good fit for these players. That's why you get this stuff kind of shaken out a little bit different. Enos Rakestraw, junior cornerback out of Missouri in the number 42 spot. He is projected to go number 37 to the LA Chargers. Number 44, Kalen King out of Penn State. He's projected to go number 35 to Arizona. So you're seeing some of these corners would be available for the Packers if they had a high grade on them, right? TJ Tampa, number 55. Josh Newton, number 69. Kalen Carson, number 75. DJ James, 76. Chris Abrams-Drain, 79. Mike Sainstrill, I think I'm saying that right, Sainristrill, out of Michigan is 82. Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon at 101. And then you see Max Melton from Rutgers, Bo Melton's brother, at 107. So you got several picks in the top 100. If you don't address corner extremely early, you know what I mean? Maybe there's a chance that Max Melton does end up with the Packers right there in the top 100. So just the fact that he's kind of sticking out a little bit with that speed, kind of pops off the board to you. So, maybe – I can't remember exactly the picks we've got. I know we've got 5 in the top 100, something like that. So there's a good chance with maybe that last, that 4th or 5th pick there in the top 100. If they've got Max Melton graded out as the, whatever, 80th best prospect or 60th best prospect, there's a chance they could take him, which Goody kind of said earlier this year too. This really surprised me. He said in those first 3 rounds, we typically get players in our top 50. So that was pretty wild. Okay, that's how they're kind of playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. But I think it's a fair argument to point out too that we have swung and missed quite a bit in the 3rd round. Maybe that has something to do with that, right? So what do you think? Let's go around the horn here real quick, Tim, about that cornerback list. Anything stick out to you? And what do you think about Max Melton potentially? We've got so many people with the same last name on this roster. And I typically don't subscribe to this type stuff, where it's get a couple brothers playing together. But Green Bay does kind of seem to, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and tried to get a Max Melton if the board fell just right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I retweeted Jake Shavink yesterday. I said the thought of Bo Melton going up against his brother in 1v1s at camp brings me great joy, and it does. I tell you, I would love to see what Goody's mock draft looks like. I wonder if he stays up late like we do, right? Just at home, doing a little mock drafting, practicing. But no, it'd be really cool to see what his draft board is looking like right now. But we'll never know until draft day. I think with Max Melton though, that may, I don't know if we'll necessarily trade or make a move to go grab him, but if he's on the board and we're picking, I could see grabbing him. This looks like a pretty decent class of cornerbacks here, and we're looking to add to our cornerback room right now. I know we've got a lot of youth back there, but you never know. And in the draft, it doesn't. I'm a big proponent of I don't really care where you're drafted. I care what you do when you get to the NFL. We could have a steal here in the first or second round, even because you never know how some of these guys could fall. We know how the draft day suspense can start to build up, and then guys that are projected at one spot, they end up on the board way lower than we thought, and that's how you get steals. I mean, we're notorious for crushing 5th and 6th round draft picks. So you never know. But I like Max Melton from what I've seen. Just getting a few shots from Jake down there, boots on the ground, which is so cool. But yeah, I mean, let's see. Looking here at Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, projected going 12th. I mean, he's number 1 with name right there. So, I mean, he's got the coolest name in the draft, I think. We talked about that. Does that help his draft stock that you just want a guy named Kool-Aid on your team? Oh, but I guess we'll see when it comes down to it. But I think we're going to take at least 2 corners relatively early, probably.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about, Emilio, was we had 4 corners listed as needs on our roster, and I know people see that and go, "What are you talking about?" I mean, Corey Ballantyne, I don't believe he's technically on the roster right now, although I think they would be interested in picking him back up for the right price. He had the best passer rating when targeted, if I remember correctly, even higher than Jair Alexander this year. Carrington Valentine, if you see a 7th round pick playing that many snaps, you think, oh, he's a stud. He graded out really, really bad. Just to be completely honest about it. I think he held his own considering he's a 7th round pick and this league is so tough. But I'm not saying they're going to go out and draft 4 corners. I'm simply saying you can make the case for saying we need a nickel, we need a slot corner, and we need another boundary corner opposite Jair Alexander.
Right. I mean, on that list right there, you got 15, 16 guys in the top 100. That's a 6th of the draft. We've got 5 picks in that first 100 picks. So I don't see why he wouldn't dabble in it a little bit. I mean, we need help in the secondary. There's a lot of names there. So we like he said, we don't know who's their top 50 when they're looking at this list. There could be 2 people on this entire list that they are absolutely in love with, but we're never going to know that. Other teams aren't going to know that. They're going to, try to play that game. But I do think that we're going to take a shot at it. And I would be fine with, I think that we tried the 1st round corner with, Stokes, and maybe he gets away from that this year and, maybe follows up with, a tackle or something like that. But there's talent there, and we're going to have a couple on our team.
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to look up some information on Quinyon Mitchell. He's out of Florida, right? Because someone asked in the chat there, you had it marked, Tim, if you want to pull it up. There's a chat that asked how pretty much, if I understood the question correctly, they're asking how did he end up at Toledo, right?
Right.
Yeah. So when you pull up his profile from Rivals.com, right? His high school information. He was only a 2-star recruit, 6 foot 175 out of Florida. Recently offered cornerback Quinyon Mitchell from Williston, Florida, is set to take a visit to Illinois. The speedy all-purpose player is getting heavy recruiting attention after performing well on the camp circuit this spring. He talks about the new offer from Illinois and the upcoming visit in this update from Orange and Blue News. So obviously you got to subscribe to get the whole article, but it sounds like he was just a 2-star recruit. So that's how he kind of ended up at somewhere like Toledo, which that's the thing too. Like I love to do this too. I love to go and look at the highest graded PFF players and then just do a quick check. Like just go throughout the entire league and go, okay, what was their high school rating coming out? You would be really surprised at how many of those guys were like 3-star recruits, right? And it's like they had something else in them to work. And then you got some of these guys that were 5 stars, supposed to be the top prospects in the country. They go to college, right? They kind of skate through college, do what they got to do, get to the pros, and they absolutely suck. It's because I think some of those guys were, handed a lot of that success, right? They were handed that, hey, look, he's got the body, he's got the build, he's got all the natural talent and ability, but they just didn't have just the desire to be great. at the NFL. So Quinyon Mitchell seems to be like he's an overachiever. I think that's a good thing personally. And sometimes it's easy to look at the small school and go, it's a small school. Toledo, not it's a mid-major, probably not the guy you want. But if you dig into the past, you go, this dude has done nothing but worked his tail off. And you're seeing it down there too. Like we talked about the stress that comes with the Senior Bowl and how, it's one thing to play in a football game, whether it's a Friday, a Saturday, or Sunday, and there's 22 players on the field, you can kind of blend in a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they put you in that gauntlet around all the other all-stars, and you got pro scouts in the stands and on the sidelines, and it's you one-on-one versus a guy, and you rise up and you perform, to me, that says a whole lot about that player, man.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. So
Yep.
just something to keep in mind there. Again, Max Melton coming in at 107. Quinyon Mitchell's currently on the consensus big board sitting at 26. So,
and, I mean, what I do real quick, what I do like about Quinyon is that he worked that hard at a smaller school. I mean, it's Mac, right? So it's my home. I went to UB, so it's like you still get dogs out there. It's not like where did Khalil come from? So it's
I think
you
about
can find
Donald
those
Driver.
Yeah.
Donald Driver out of where do you go? Alcorn State.
Yeah.
Alcorn State.
Like a Packer Hall of Famer. I mean,
Aaron Jones out of Utah. I mean, it's
Hey, imagine seeing a receiver and saying, I don't know, man. He went to Mississippi Valley State. That was Jerry Rice, by the way.
Yep.
So just something to keep in mind, man. And you look at Tucker Kraft, the knock on him, right? And look at what he did this year. I mean, he really he graded out as a legit starting tight end in the league, especially in a league where they'll use plenty versions of a 12 personnel where you're getting a lot of snaps for at least 2 tight ends on each roster.
that guy was born to be a Packer, man.
He really was, man. You kidding me? Just burning cigs, right?
Nothing like sitting on the back of the truck with a Busch latte and a lung dart.
Yeah.
It's like
it immediately made me think of Blake Bortles. Remember when they asked him that interview they did with him or whatever when he first got drafted by the Jaguars back in the day? That lady reporter said, "What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?" He went, usually just take a piss. and then she said, "If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?" He said, "Working construction, ripping cigs."
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, you're right though, man. That picture of it looked like that picture of Tucker Kraft sitting on that tailgate, smoking that cigarette, drinking, like you said, a Busch latte. It looked like something I'd seen in a Field and Stream magazine in 1989. You know what I mean? It was just perfect. It was like there was nothing designer about it or anything. Just say, look, we're out here just kind of doing some ice fishing. But I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Love my Packers, man. Let's see what Red Mo had to say. Red Mo said, last time the Packers passed on a, what is that word?
Brother.
I think he meant brother.
To some, I never know if these guys have got some cool new lingo that I don't understand. You know what I mean? But passed on a brother to someone on the team. They missed out on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Good point. Very good point, right?
I think that's what's so cool about Bo and Max playing different positions. Like the St. Brown brothers are both receivers. You're kind of flipping a coin. Who's gonna pan out better? I mean, we could get dubs on both of these guys, man. If we, the Meltons could be household names here going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Also in the chat, Chris says, home today, working in office and looking forward to NFL Network's coverage of the Senior Bowl practice. They do a great job, man. They got some awesome hosts out there. Like I said, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, just watching the practice. Again, we got Jake Shavink. Make sure you're following Jake Shavink at Jake NFL Draft on Twitter. He'll be doing live tweets right there from his seat out there getting roasted. Did you see how burned he was last night?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man,
Got to turn the notifications on so you get all the tweets as they come out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's roasting down there in that Alabama sun.
I wonder how glowing he's going to be tonight when he hops. If we can get him on tonight, man.
Well, see, you're already putting me on the spot.
You're
gonna get me in trouble, Emilio. There's gonna be no show tonight, guys.
Oh, Emilio had to.
This is what's crazy. Remember the Dallas Cowboys fan that got in there and put a super chat in one night? It was Destiny, Mandy's little cousin. Right?
Yeah,
she got in here talking crap. We're going out to dinner with her. It was last second changes, so I'm literally belling on Packer fans to go hang out with the Cowboys.
Have dinner.
Yeah. She did make a comment to Mandy. She made a comment to Mandy on the phone. I was cracking up. She said, Mandy said, "Hey, Des has got a question for you, Clayton." No, it was. She said, "What time do the Packers play this week?"
Wow.
Now, I Hey, Cowboys haven't really played a real game of football in 3 weeks. I mean, you see them against the
Yeah, here we go.
yeah, I should have played. Yeah, there you
That's
go.
what Clayton's going to say first thing when he sits
You know
down.
what I got to do for dinner? I've got to set that as my ringtone.
Oh,
Dinner.
And me and Emilio will just call your phone every 5 minutes.
We got to make that happen. Got to make that happen. David Mitchell in the chat says Tucker has cheese in his
That's the
veins. Yes, he
truth.
does, man. With a name like Kraft and playing
Right.
for the Packers, come on, man. It was
I
just
love it.
a match
love
made
it.
in heaven, no doubt. So, all right. So let's move on to the next report down there. Another guy we've been talking about is Jackson Powers Johnson, right? The interior offensive lineman, center, whatever you want to call him. Dane Brugler tweeted this out. He quote tweeted Brandon Thorne. Brandon Thorne's tweets had a couple of videos on Jackson Powers Johnson. We're not going to take the time to play the videos, but he said, more JPJ, who had a heck of a day one, including at guard. His right guard rep equaled staying inside out with patience versus the stutter. So you're seeing different moves they're throwing at him. He was staying inside out with patience versus the stutter move. And then his rep at center, eating the push and pull, anchor and finish. So he's turning heads down there. Obviously, Dane Brugler quote tweeted that, and he put Miami at 21 or Dallas at 24 would be great fits for Jackson Powers Johnson if he's still available. So if he drops that far, might want to keep an eye on Miami. Why Miami? You guys remember we did kind of an eval of the free agent class this year, right? And remember Connor Williams, their center in Miami, tore his ACL. So they're definitely in need for a good center. So there's a good chance that they go after someone like Jackson Powers Johnson at that spot for sure. So something to keep in mind there. And again, our eval of the interior offensive line led us to believe as far as free agency is we really got to keep our eye. We got to fill interior offensive line through the draft most likely, because the only other guy we came up with and said, you know what, that might be worth it is Greg Von Roten, who was on the Packers before. He's set at $2.7 million as far as market value. So the fact that the interior offensive line market is so thin means the price is going to get driven up, right? That's, when you got low supply, high demand, the price is going to raise. That's when inflation hits, right? So expect people to be overpaying in free agency, but also expect them to be overpaying in the draft. People are going, Clayton, it's not free agency. No, it means they're going to reach a bit to get these interior offensive linemen because the free agent market is so thin. So just keep that in mind. We got Jacob joining us now. Jacob, look at Jacob's professional setup over there. What's this mic he's got? Look at this.
Oh, snap.
I've never seen this before.
Upgraded.
You can't hide credit. Look at this.
Yeah.
Can I propose something? I think tonight, me, Emilio, and Tim should host a show, and we
Let's
should
go.
a mock draft show.
Look at Emilio got
Mock
nervous.
draft.
Look at him.
Mock draft.
I love it.
Let's do it.
Mock draft
Do
is easy. It's easy content, and then we don't have to do much.
Bro, you
All
guys
right,
got to do it.
Jacob suggested it. He's in charge. He's running the show.
All right. Yeah, we'll do a live call to Clayton at the dinner.
I'm not
table.
even an admin.
Yeah,
I'm
we
the
got
only one that's not.
We got to get that situated.
Yeah, we'll have to kick Carly as an admin temporarily and put Jacob in there. Carly's listening going, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
We need to make that happen. I'm going to make that happen. That'll be my project this morning. That would be absolutely awesome. Sitting at dinner tonight, have my phone on the table watching a mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. Mandy will be throwing a champagne glass at me. You know what I mean?
Mandy will be like, put your phone down. And Clayton will be like,
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Exactly right. So Powers Johnson, all right. This is Daniel Jeremiah's take on him. All right. He's got him ranked as the 35th prospect. So keep that in mind, right? What did Dane Brugler say? Miami at 21, Dallas at 24. Daniel Jeremiah is saying he's got him at 35. It doesn't mean he's going to go at 35, which it kind of goes hand in hand with what we just said. If the market's kind of thin, it's going to boost the value of some of these players. That may make sense for him to go in that range that Dane Brugler set. So Powers Johnson has experience at all three interior offensive line spots and has spent time at defensive tackle as well. Can he stop the run? Get him in there, boys.
Right.
He was outstanding at the center position in 2023, and that's where I expect him to play at the next level. He has good size, exceptional quickness, and steady balance. In pass pro, he sets vertically and is able to catch and absorb versus power rushers. You kind of seen that in the tweet we just read. He does an excellent job reworking his hands to maintain position and is a nasty helper when uncovered. That's what she said. In the run game, He uses his upper body power to turn defenders, generating a lot of movement at the point of attack. He is quick working up to the second level and takes good angles. Overall, there aren't many holes in his game. I love his bulldog playing style. So Daniel Jeremiah, real big on Jackson Powers Johnson. Again, Dane Brugler saying he may go as high as 21 or 24. Very well might be your top interior offensive lineman. If we look at the offensive lineman group, and I'll keep this pulled up for everybody, you guys know Graham Barton is the one that I did in a mock draft. I actually took him at the 25th spot. The consensus big board here has him number 1, Powers Johnson number 2. So Graham Barton from Duke, 28th. They have him projected. The consensus has him projected to go to Dallas at 24. Powers Johnson in the 47th spot. The consensus mock draft has him projected to go to Washington at number 40. So he would be available for the Packers at 25, according to the consensus big board. Cooper Beebe, interior offensive lineman from Kansas State. He's in the 59 spot, projected to go to the Eagles at 50. Then you got Zach Frazier out of West Virginia. He's at the Reese Bowl too. All these guys, these top 5 guys here on the interior offensive line, you can see them down there for the Senior Bowl. Okay. The West Virginia Zach Frazier, they don't have a projection for him. That kind of suggests he dropped probably outside of the top 60 in their consensus mock draft. Then you got Cedric Van Pran, interior offensive lineman out of Georgia. He's projected to go number 57. They have him in the 77 spot on the big board. You see what I'm saying here? Like, look at some of these players. Mm-hmm. He's on the far left. That's your ranking. 28th, projected to go 24. 47th, projected to go 40th. 59, projected to go 50th. You see how people are reaching a bit? It's because of the way that market's set for the interior offensive line, both in free agency and the draft. Number 77, projected to go 57. So then you got number 80, Zach Zenter out of Michigan. You got number 96, Christian Haynes out of UConn. Number 98, Christian Mahogany out of Boston College. 110, Dominique Puny out of Kansas. You got 130, Isaiah Adams out of Illinois. 132, Brandon Coleman out of TCU. 135, Javian Cohen out of Miami. So just around the horn here real quick. Anybody who wants to go first? We'll start with you, Tim. Jackson Powers Johnson on the consensus big board listed as number 2 in the 47 spot. But again, Daniel Jeremiah has him in the 35 spot on his top 50.
Yeah, I mean, bring me a young, athletic offensive lineman. I looking at this board, they all look good to me. You know, I mean, we talked about trying to address this issue in the free agent market, but we all know that's probably not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good thing if we're going to continue to run, pin and pull and, require some athleticism out of our interior offensive linemen. I want some youth and some legs out there for sure. And, draft and develop, it applies across the board, not just to quarterbacks. So, I'm not the college football expert, so I'm not really well-versed in a lot of these names, but, I think we do need to make a move, whether that's first round, second round. We got to grab some interior O-line.
Yeah, definitely. Donovan Schilling in the chat says AFAM's favorite buffet is Chippendales. Go ahead, Emilio. What do you with your I love those guys, I swear. Go ahead. What do you think about Powers Johnson? And I'll be honest, man, I'm good with any of these guys in the top 100, just something to help bolster the center and possibly play right guard, right?
Right. And I think that might lead us to what you were saying earlier is they're reaching for, they're reaching 10 spots just to pick one up versus the cornerbacks. There's 8 in the top 100. So that's half the amount of linemen are in the top 100 versus the cornerback. So you're going to have to, make sure that you're on it. We saw Van Pran pop up a couple times on those mocks we did before, and we liked that. But again, if it starts, becoming known that the market's, low and all that stuff, they're going to start reaching, they're going to disappear before our eyes. And we need a couple to at least give them a shot, get some competition in there and change it up a little bit. But I like Powers Johnson. I'm excited to see, the rest of these guys play out.
Definitely. Chris in the chat says, has anyone seen the tape on South Dakota State offensive lineman Mason McCormick from the East-West Shrine practice? Maybe another stud like Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State University. I have not seen the tape on him, Chris. I quickly checked the consensus big board. They have him in the 362nd spot. So if he does turn heads at the East-West Shrine game, yeah, that dude could all of a sudden pop up and you see him in the top 200, top 150, right? And that's why it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse down there at the East West Shrine game too, for sure. But I appreciate that information. We'll make a note of him and try to get some looks at his tape as well. Go ahead, Jacob. Though, what do you think about interior offensive line, man? How would you like to see the Packers approach this, or do you think, hey, you know what? Let's roll with Sean Ryan at right guard, keep Josh Myers at center. What do you think?
No.
Oh, we're gonna give him some.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do anything I have to get Jackson Powers Johnson with one of my first couple picks. The guy's just absolutely been showing out. And that Senior Bowl, the practice and everything else, I mean, I think that to me, that's one of the best ways of judging somebody's actual ability. We've talked about how, certain stats and the combine, a lot of that stuff is all well and good when they're wearing shorts and their undies. But once they throw on the pads and start playing against guys that are of equal, if not better talent, it's very impressive to see guys. We talked about that quarterback, what he did out there. I've seen just as many and heard about just as many kind of awe plays that Jackson Powers Johnson has made. A lot of it too is that he kicked out to guard and still looked very, very dominant. And another guy is Cooper Beebe. Is that related to the one and only Don Beebe?
Bro, that's the first thing I thought too. Let me go Google it. You keep talking. I'll find out.
I'll keep talking to it, because if that's true, that's another legacy name. We'll get the Meltons in there. We get the Beebes rocking up again. I mean, and then honestly, if we did take a stab at one of those guys early, whether it be the Jackson Powers or a Beebe or a Frazier, I do feel comfortable with a little bit of that depth there. I've looked into Von Prawn. He's a big guy, but I think we could use him. Zinter I think he got hurt, so maybe that's why he might be one of those guys that the Packers could, one thing is to look at how these guys did the year before. I know that's something we made a mistake with this last year, is we looked at only the progress or the highlights or the stats of this guy's current year, when a lot of the things, especially like Jaden Reed, that's how we missed on Jaden Reed, not looking at what the guys did the year before. And for whatever reason, maybe they had an injury or a shakeup or a personnel change, coaching change. I think we should think about that too.
Gotcha.
It's a great point. We could say that about Jordan Love too,
Yeah.
Exactly.
To the best of my knowledge, they are not related. I don't think. Let's see. Both Cooper Beebe and Don Beebe are well recognized in the world of sports, but it's essential to highlight that their family connections lead to distinct and unique life stories. Cooper Beebe, the son of Tom and Tamara Beebe, get a shout out, comes from a notable family background, with his father having been a football player at Pittsburgh State, adding to the athletic legacy associated with the Beebe name. So, to the best of my knowledge, they're not related, but his dad did play collegiate sports as well. So
get that guy out of here then. I don't need him.
Yeah, we don't need him. Probably related to a Viking.
Gene. That's the only Cooper I want.
All right, let's move on to safety. We asked Jake Shavink last night about the safety position, right? And two names he mentioned was Cam Kinchens, and then he also mentioned Bo Braid out of Maryland, right? You guys know I'm big on Tyler Nubin. Everyone is all over Cam Kitchens. So let's kind of talk about the safety group and how they rank right here. Okay, so Cam Kinchens, according to the mock draft database, right, the consensus big board, they have him in the 34th spot. He peaked at number 7. So at one point, he was considered a top 10 prospect. And one of the reasons I'm not as big on him is because his PFF grade had been a little bit inconsistent, if I remember correctly, in doing my research. Look at his projection, though, guys. Number 41, Green Bay Packers. So according to the consensus big board in the mock draft database, they have him projected to be drafted by the Packers at number 41. You guys know I took Tyler Nubin at number 41 because I like him over Cam Kinchens, okay? But nonetheless, Kinchens coming in at 34th out of Miami. Tyler Nubin coming in 43rd out of Minnesota. They have him going number 43 to the Atlanta Falcons, so just 2 picks after the Packers. So you see that's how close they have them rated as far as in their mock draft database. Number 57, you got Kalen Bullock, safety out of USC. He went number 51 to Pittsburgh. And then you got Javon Bullard out of Georgia in the number 66 spot. They also have him mocked to go to Green Bay at number 58. So that would be kind of a goody move to take a safety that close, 2 safeties that close together, kind of like they did Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, right? So Eden Hicks at number 85 out of Washington State, Cole Bishop out of Utah at 104, Tyke Smith out of Georgia at 106. James Williams, a safety out of Miami at 117. Bo Braid, there's Bo Braid, the one that
Jake is talking about.
actually mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is out of Maryland, which you guys know we have a little bit of a pipeline there. We drafted Darnell Savage out of Maryland, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But Bo Braid is listed as the 120th best prospect, but he actually peaked at 59 at one point. So keep that in mind. The stock's dropped a little bit. He's got a chance this week at the Senior Bowl in the practices to raise that stock back up, right? And then you've got Vaki, I don't know how you say that, out of Utah. He's number 124. So as far as the safety position, again, what Jake is saying he's keeping his eyes on is Cam Kinchins, who is pretty much the consensus top safety in the draft, and then Bo Braid, who right now is sitting 120th on the consensus big board. So, Tim, what do you think about safety, man? We got several opportunities here in the top 100 as far as the consensus big board, right? It looks like we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are sitting there in the top 100.
It makes me think of what if it doesn't play out this way and Newman and Kinchins aren't on the board when we pick? So now we have to look down at some of these other names. Is there a scenario where we see a trade where we have our sights set on say it's Newman or Kinchins? Do we make a trade to get that player if we're that high on them? But, we can do mocks all we want, and we look at the, projections, and then we see the draft play out. So I wonder what's the plan if Kinchins and Newman aren't on the board,
Right. No, I think it's a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
Bullard out of Georgia, coming from a big program like that, and the fact that they've got the Packers kind of mocked to him, Emilio, that would lead you to believe, the size, the athletic ability kind of fits that threshold that Green Bay likes, right?
Right, exactly. And what else gets me excited is that it's not there's 3 teams on here that have a pair of safeties that are in the top 150, top 125. So you got, 2 Georgia guys, 2 Utah guys, and 2 Miami dudes. So I like that they're both producing at the same time, and it's not just one dude's showing out from 12 interceptions, or one dude is only the tackler. Like we got a pair of well-rounded dudes on each of these teams. So it's not even if it doesn't work out like Tim was saying at the beginning of the draft, maybe we can still make this work in the later early hundreds and still work something out with guys that have worked together and had a solid pair through the college season.
Definitely. What about you, Jacob? How you seeing the safety as far as the draft goes, man? I think we should take at least 2 swings at some point in this draft.
Here's what we do, guys. All right.
Thank you. I've been waiting for this.
So
I wook up thinking about this.
I think you got
That's what she said.
Damn it, Tim.
take either stab at Kitchens or Newman with that first couple picks.
Mm-hmm.
Then you let it slide, and then you take a stab at Malik Mustafa. Now, the reason for that, I went through and I looked at all these guys right now at NFL Draft Buzz. None of those dudes run faster than a 4.5 until you get to basically right down the line there. Malik Mustafa runs a 4.33. I think he's the fastest safety that they've timed so far. The only other one I think was James Williams, was like a 4.46 or something like that. Bo Braid is also a 4.5. I don't know why. I just feel like if the Packers are going to take a stab on safeties, they want him to be kind of around that Darnell Savage type speed so that they can cover the field. But I don't know. To me, it just that for some reason splashes, because I know we don't quite have RAS for most of these guys, but I have to imagine that unless they drastically change the way that they draft, that'll be a factor.
Right. Speed.
Yeah, sure.
Great point about the RAS, right? We know how valuable that is.
Yeah. Just a quick update too. Ian Rappaport tweeted out, former Bears OC Luke Getsy interviewed with the Patriots for their vacant OC job yesterday, sources say, and today he has a second interview with the Saints. So Luke Getsy getting all kinds of looks. Obviously, I know people like to dog on him since he left the Packers, but that dude had that running game cooking in Chicago, right? So something to keep an eye on there, especially with a team like the Saints with, I think it's Dennis Allen down there, I believe, is the head coach. And they've also, obviously, we found them to be the sixth best scoring defense in the league, the 10th best passing defense, 22nd in stopping the run. So he might be looking for something to kind of, hey, let's lean on the run and play defense in New Orleans, that type of thing, as they try to get that cap cleaned up as always. So Good stuff there at the safety position. And just to kind of quickly lay it out here, day one winners. This came from Thor Nystrom. I looked at it. He had like 40-some thousand followers. So it sounds like he's kind of a draft analyst, 248,000 views. So this isn't just someone sitting in their basement, to the best of my knowledge. These were his winners. Running back Cody Schrader, running back Dylan Lobb, I think is how you say that name, Levy maybe. Running back Marshawn Lloyd, wide receiver Ryan Florney. You have wide receiver Lad McConkey. That might be the coolest.
Yeah.
Entire draft. Get that lad in here. Wide receiver Roman Wilson, wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, and tight end Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, this is kind of a thin tight end class, in my opinion, once you get outside of Brock Bowers. Theo Johnson's one that I've noticed when building my draft board. His name keeps popping up. Every year there's somebody I'm like, I keep seeing his freaking name. So look for Theo Johnson. If he does turn heads down there, he might rise on the boards. Now the losers, what a bunch of losers.
Hey, wait, quick question. Is he doing this by offense and defense? Because you know what I mean? Because like these are all offense.
It probably is. Yeah. This is, and they do kind of key in on certain matchups. You got certain guys that go down and go, okay, I'm really going to focus on this. Because if you try to look at everything, you can kind of get lost, right? Like that's what I love about Jake Shavink's coverage. You've seen all the information he gave us. You notice he didn't talk about quarterbacks, right? He didn't talk about wide receivers. He was, other than Johnny Wilson, my God, 6'7" or 6'6" and an eighth, whatever it was. But he talked about corners, he talked about safeties, right? So my guess is this guy's really keen on the skill positions. So losers, and the reason it's important too, Tim, even though we're not in the market for a quarterback or necessarily a wide receiver, when you see these losers lists, if this is one guy's opinion, but again, I feel like he got enough views and stuff that it was important to just mention it. If Bo Nix drops on boards, right, it's going to affect everybody's draft. So it's important to kind of see the guys who are raising and dropping, right? So losers were quarterback Bo Nix, quarterback Joe Milton, which that's Tennessee's quarterback, right, Emilio? Am I thinking right, Milton?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That dude has got just the prototypical arm. He's got a
he threw an orange across the entire field.
Yeah. He just can't put it together, though, can he, Emilio? Mm-hmm. It's just something's missing there. I don't know what it is. He's been highly recruited. I think he ended up transferring to like 2 or 3 different schools and just can't. I don't know, man.
He probably needs to sit behind a quarterback for a couple of years and
learn how to play the position, right?
Maybe he just needs some of that Mountain Dew.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire, and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
I guarantee you, him playing in Knoxville, Emilio, he met at least a dozen people.
At least, especially after a win, they stormed the field.
Yeah, you want some Mountain Dew? So Joe Milton dropped. Running back Amani Bailey dropped. Wide receiver Xavier Leggett, or Leggett. I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name. I've seen his name a lot. He seems to think he had a bad day too. Wide receiver Jacob Cowing. Wide receiver Anais Smith, I guess is how you say it. But again, this is one man's opinion, but I like to try to find those winners and losers of each practice day and just try to see, okay, whose stock might be rising, who might be dropping. If you see Jake Shavink put out a tweet and he mentions any of these names and it completely conflicts with this guy's opinion, go with Jake Shavink's opinion. All right. I trust Jake Shavink over someone I haven't met. I promise you that. Jake knows what he's talking about. And again, you guys, if you want to check out his podcast, make sure you go find him. Just search for Packernet Podcast. It's called the It's Always Draft Season Podcast here on the Packernet Podcast Network. Follow him on Twitter at Jake NFL Draft. And you can scan that QR code in the upper right. Thank you, Tim. That'll send you directly to Monday. What's that?
Jake just put one up Monday.
Yeah, on the pod. His content, man. He's just an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to these players entering the draft. So make sure you go check out his stuff here on the Packernet Podcast Network. All right, so Senior Bowl practice, just quickly, obviously yesterday's in the books. Today they're going to get kicked off again at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So from 9:30 to 11:30 will be the national team practice. From 12 to 2 will be the American team practice. And then Thursday, same thing, same time frame. And then, of course, the game will be played on Saturday, February 3rd, 12 p.m. Central in Mobile, Alabama. It'll be on NFL Network. So make sure you guys check that out. It'll be a lot of fun. I think there'll be some pads popping out there for sure.
That's what I loved about Jake. He said he was up in the nosebleeds and he heard the cracks of the pads. I missed that, man. I absolutely missed that. And the fact that it's open to the public like that, chef's kiss, man. That's awesome that they get to go out there and see all that. And, they get another shot to put their skills on on test before we run around in, compression shorts and t-shirts all day. So I like that.
I say underwear, but you keep it professional with compression shorts. So anyway. You see that chain on that guy on the right there? You know he got some compression shorts on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
All right, so we've had a lot of conversation about the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff, right? We talked about Zach Orr being scheduled to interview or being requested to interview. We also had Denard Wilson, which you guys know I'm kind of leaning toward Denard Wilson over Zach Orr as a potential DC in Green Bay. My top pick of that staff would definitely be Chris Hewitt, although I haven't seen anything about him talking to Green Bay, so they may feel like he's kind of out of reach, that type of thing. But got a quick video that came from, and we'll be able to talk over it here. There's no sound to it, but this came from Twitter, and it's called @HonestNFL or NFL Honest. They put a lot of just breakdown films. I love their terminology because their terminology is quite a bit different from me from time to time, and it's an opportunity to kind of see how other people are seeing the game. But, man, their account is phenomenal if you want to learn the X's and O's. They just showed one play of the Baltimore Ravens and how they gave Patrick Mahomes some fits here, right? Everybody's looking at it like, well, look at what Patrick Mahomes did to the Baltimore Ravens. Guys, the Baltimore Ravens held him to 17 points, right? And if anyone took a hit in that game, in my opinion, it's the Ravens offense that struggled so bad would kind of lead you to believe, okay, maybe that offensive coaching staff isn't as good. But here's just a quick glance at what they like to do. They like to show kind of a multiple front. If you look at 99 lined up on the edge down there, that's more of a defensive lineman build, right? Our defensive linemen are, 300 plus pounds, your Kenny Clarks, your TJ Slayton, your Devontae Whites. This guy looks like, and I don't know what his exact size is, but he looks like he's probably around somewhere between 280 and 295. So they got a little bit more of a hybrid approach with their fronts. Now, if you see how they're lined up, yeah, they've got Roquan Smith mugging the B gap there. You see number 0 there, right? But they're really simulating what we do out of the 34 jam. So if you were to hire someone out of Baltimore, what you'll probably do is get away from the 34 jam and play more nickel, but still accomplish the same thing from a body aspect and trying to occupy offensive linemen with the pre-snap looks. So they're kind of mimicking our 34 jam, although they're in a nickel set here, which seems to be a nickel 2-4-5. All right. So it just shows you can accomplish the same thing with different looks, different personnel. And you see on the upper side of the screen, that guy's kind of playing that mock Rashawn Gary role, right? But he's probably, honestly, he's probably more of a linebacker than he's pass rusher. So you've got your pass rushers installed here, a couple of them being big boys down there playing what seems to be a 2-eye and a 4-eye on the top of the screen. But you got Roquan mugging there in the B. Let's watch how this play develop here and just kind of see a glimpse of what Baltimore does. You see them showing blitz there, right? They got them to trigger a little bit. You see them identifying it, so they're resetting the protection. What this play is actually going to be, you see the motion. Notice how no one followed the motion over, right? What's that tell you? Zone coverage, right? So we got zone coverage, and here's the play call. You got what I refer to as a 3-3 cat, okay? So you're showing a nickel 2-4-5 look, an exotic look where you're simulating that 34 jam front, but you're doing it out of a nickel set. 3-3 cat is real simple. 3 deep, 3 underneath with a cat blitz. Notice the arrow on the bottom that says storm. Okay, storm. It's a C path, but he's going to sell the D. All right, I know that's what she said. He's going to settle a D gap blitz there. Or he's going to sell a D gap blitz. So he's going to basically the way the gaps play out, guys. Your A gaps are in between your guard and your center. Your B gaps are in between your guard and your tackle. And your C gap is on the outside shoulder or between the tight end and the tackle. Your D gap is on the outside shoulder of the tight end if you got one tight end set, okay? So he's going to sell the D gap, but he's going to end up in the C gap on the cat blitz. And what I mean by cat blitz is a cornerback blitz. Rather than saying cornerback, 2 syllables, you just say cat. It's 1 syllable easier to communicate. So when you look at this cover 3 look, this 3-3 cat, what you've got on the top, they're playing zone match, right? So you got a tight third with a 1 match unless it's under. What's that mean? The number 1 receiver, number 4 that just shifted outside, right? He's your number 1. Your tight end would be your number 2. Look at the bottom of the screen from the outside coming in. The receiver on the far outside is your 1. The next receiver is what you call your number 2. Okay, that's an easy way for defensive coordinators and their coaching staff to communicate who's responsible for what. So this is just a quick glance at their zone match principles off a cat blitz of the 3-3 variety. So you've got up top, the tight third, 1 match. He's matching the number 1 if he goes vertical. There's going to be a threshold of 5 to 7 yards. Sound familiar? That's exactly what we did in Green Bay. Okay. So they played a ton of zone. I know people wanted man, but this is what Baltimore, the number one defense in the league, did, was played a ton of zone. So they're going to play match 1 unless it's under. If number 4 breaks underneath, he's going to let him go. Okay. And he's just going to play basically a deep third. That's cover 3 zone match. All right. Now, you'll notice the guy who's playing kind of that Rashawn Gary role. He's actually a linebacker standing up over there playing that wide 9 tech. He's going to play seam flat or a 2 match. So if 2 goes vertical, it's going to turn into man coverage. He's going to match him if it goes vertical. All right. The post, the deep safety, he's just going to be covering deep third. There's no match there at all. Right. I love cover 3 zone match. It's my favorite defense that's running the NFL. The bottom, same thing. Tight third, 1 match, unless it's under. You let him go and you turn into a deep third and go looking for work. The nickel, or let's look at notice too, they're playing shell here, right? See how they're showing 2 on the shelf?
Mm-hmm.
Notice how the safety, what would in this case be the free safety opposite the tight end side, is going to play seam flat or number 2 match. If the number 2 goes vertical, it turns into man coverage. If he goes to the seam, it's going to be man coverage. He's also got responsibilities on the flat too. Okay. So if he doesn't do either of those, let's say he runs a drag, guess what? Then that free safety will roll into the box and go looking for work. I've got to know what the hell y'all are laughing at.
This chat is out of control.
You gotta just keep talking.
I'm going to put the whole chat on time.
It's gotten so out of hand.
Let's see. Could you imagine how distracting this chat is when you're doing a live show? LOL.
We don't have to imagine.
What's funny is the chat isn't distracting. It's these 3 knuckleheads over here going. Other than Tim, look at Tim being professional. He's so disappointed.
It's the only good chat we could put up.
I'm looking for something remotely. Here. This is about as PG-13 as it gets.
There we go.
That's cute.
Perfect.
We're gonna leave the other ones alone.
AFM and Eric share a Netflix account. You know what's hilarious? People probably think this bothers me. This is exactly what I envisioned for this show. I'm just being honest with you. I want it to be chill and laid back like this. Mm-hmm. It's just hilarious watching Jacob and Emilio, like a couple of 7th graders in the back of the room, flying paper airplanes, going, that Peter Griffin. Anyway, so the guy in the middle, notice how he was mugging. They were showing him blitzing, right? They set the protection on him because he showed a blitz. Let's roll it back. This is really cool. So you see plenty of sugar, right? You seen him right there.
He was that apex.
What's that?
He was the apex, right?
Yeah, but no, the apex in this case would be your probably your safeties. This safety that rolls in the box on the bottom screen would be your apex. Your apex is the first defender outside of the tackle. So he would be, he wouldn't be. I don't think he would be considered apex. Some coaching staffs may, but he's kind of playing that middle zone too. But anyway, when he mugs, they set the protection on him now. They kind of slide everything to the right? He ain't even coming. That's what's awesome. He's dropping back into cover. So he's going to mug. He's got the 3 match, okay? So the 3 in this case will be the running back. So he's looking to match that running back. See him kind of kick over to that side. He's helping. Notice the cat. Pressure, had to throw it away. That's the type of stuff that you're going to get from the Baltimore defense. Let's show it one more time with the play design here. The diagram.
That was a big sell on that cat too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. So look at the cat. He's going to sell the D gap and then shift into the C. Now, notice that the outside rushers here, you got the guy at the top. He's going to be playing the seam flat match in the 2. But you essentially, all you've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rushers here. So you're playing 3-3 cat with a 5-man rush, with the 5th being that cat blitz. As he sells the D gap there, 99 is going to crush, right? He's going to do what we call a C rush. They call it crush. So he's going to kind of rush out here in the C gap. And when you crush, you're basically trying to walk that tackle out to open up that C gap. So watch him on the bottom of the screen, 99. He's going to walk him out, and that's what's going to open up the C. Everything that made this thing go was that Mike selling that pressure. And
the back had to step up and pick up that rush as well. And what I was looked up, 99 is Dofi Owe. He's 257 pounds, 6'5".
Is he really?
Yeah.
So number 99. So he's that is an edge defender right there. Got it.
Right. Yeah. Outside linebacker. But watch the back step down towards the hash and just open that gap right up for the cat. Ooh.
Yep, there it is.
He missed it.
Yeah, he sure did. And you know why he missed it? Let's go back. This is why he missed it. Watch him set the protection. So they're sliding right. They think there's pressure coming off the right side. They think that the guy lined up at the outside linebacker in the wide 9 is blitzing, or that Mike is blitzing, right? That's what they simulated. So they slid the protection to the right. The running back did what he was supposed to do. Let's fast forward it now. Imagine the protection's set, right?
Yeah, look at the head count.
Yep. Now look at the hat count, and they're thinking, okay, we've got to block the wide 9 on the right. You got to block the 4-eye. You got to block the 2-eye. You got to block the Mike. He may be coming. We got him to bluff there, right? We got him to simulate pressure. And then on the other side, you got the 4-eye and you got the wide 9. They're thinking, look at the hat count, split it down the middle. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys to block on the right, 87. If he goes out in the route, you're in trouble. So you got to slide right. When they slide right, it's the crush on the outside that really sets that up, right? So now here comes the cat. Busted play, throw it away, live to play it down. Great job by Mahomes there, just recognizing like, well, we crapped the bed. Let's just play for another down. What's that, Jacob?
So they missed a hold. Not surprising.
Go ahead, Tim. Hit him with it. He said it wasn't worthy of that. That's what she said. All right. So just wanted to kind of squeeze that in because people are asking, Clayton, you're going to break down tape on the Ravens. Guys, it's so hard fighting the urge to not break down the tape, but be our luck, we spend 2 days breaking down Ravens tape and they hire Christian Parker. You know what I mean? And we'll be like, that was wasted. So let's just wait for the hire, but just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of some of the exotic blitzes, the mugging, the sugaring that goes on, the kind of unique ability or the unique way that they've built their roster where they have kind of that multiple front look. You're accomplishing the same thing as the 34 jam. You're doing it out of nickel personnel. You're sugaring the offense. These are the things that might come with someone like a Chris Hewitt, a Denard Wilson, or a Zach Orr being hired as the DC. So,
right, and you're still in cover 3 then too.
Bingo, and it's zone match too. Like you don't even know what your assignment's going to be.
Right.
How's the quarterback going to know it? Right. And also the other thing too, I'm going to pull up one more time. We're not going to play
while also being in cover 2 shell.
In shell, bingo. That's what I was going to point out. So everything about this. And Baltimore's defense is why I got excited about, man, let's bring someone in from Baltimore. Now, if we were to pull it up one more time, I think I've still got the numbers here. Where's it at? Boom, 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 boom. Christian Parker. So this is Baltimore, right? Not Christian Parker. Ravens defensive numbers. Look at their middle field open. 47% of the time, that's 9th most in the league. Middle field close, 40% of the time, that's 28th most in the league. And their EPA on both, they did both well. But you're right, Emilio. They're playing middle field open, they're showing middle field open and playing middle field close on this specific play. Now, when you talk about pressure, 37% of the time, they're 7th in EPA. That's 11th most in the league as far as pressure. And then when you go to 4 rushers and 5 rushers, in this case, they brung 5 rushers. That's 27th most in the league. So this is one of those plays that they got out a little bit of the norm of what they normally do.
Yep. But look at that ranking.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So when they do it, they produce.
Yeah. And again, I know I get dogged for being so down on man coverage, but look at man coverage, EPA 20th. This is the best defense in the league, guys. Best defense in the league. And they've improved. If I understood correctly, when we were breaking down Zach Orr's numbers, one of the things it mentioned was the last 3 years, Baltimore Ravens defense went from the third ranked scoring defense to 2nd and now 1st, right? Look at their man coverage EPA, 20th. Yeah. Look at their zone coverage EPA, 1st, right? So you're talking about 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 8th, 7th, 3rd, and 4th. I'm not dogging Christian Parker. If he's the hire, I'll get on board and we'll try to find all the positives we can. I really want them to bring someone in from Baltimore, man. So let's go around the horn. Tim, are you still disappointed in the chat, man?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with the chat. I can't focus.
Dude, the chat got off the rails at like 9:20.
Oh man!
Is there anybody we need to ban? Now everybody's sitting.
No.
Okay.
No.
Like
all good fun.
Better straighten up in.
They were talking about it. Imagine if they were at the bar together and they all said that they'd probably get kicked out together. So
typical antics from the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
We got to get that. I'm telling you, I got to get merch made. I told you guys, give me permission. Email me a picture like A-Fam with the porn stash, right? I need that. Give me Eric Sutherland with the big beard and the tatted up arms, right? And then I needed who was the other one? It's A-Fam Paul Robertson, right? Paul Robertson. Yeah, Paul Robertson. You know what? We can't use that picture. We'll get sued because that's the famous bowler, right, Tim? Anyway.
Who do you think you are? I am.
I need your 3 pictures on a shirt. And we're going to do merch of I don't know if we should say the Three Stooges, but definitely Class Clowns or something like that.
There you go.
Anyway, around the horn, Jacob, what do you got, man?
Well, I'm kind of starting to lean towards that. Yeah, it's got to be somebody from Baltimore. I'm still holding out a little bit of hope for my guy Bobby Babbage. I don't know why. I just stuck.
Oh,
with
he's
that
DC now. They announced he's DC for Buffalo. So
Yeah.
Oh, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
they promoted him. That happened yesterday.
Dang it.
I know what you mean too, man. I was kind of excited about him too.
At least I wasn't crazy. All right. Well, other than that, then yeah, I guess let's do that. Otherwise, real quick, what would Johnny Holland do? Is there any truth to that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what would his defensive concepts be? Like, does he have any actual history? Is that just more of like an Al Harris kind of wishing well type thing?
Johnny Hollins has 36 years experience in the NFL. That includes him playing for, I think, 7, and then he's been coaching ever since. Inside linebacker coach, absolute stud. He hands down has the most experience of any of the candidates that we talked about. To me,
I'm a man. I'm 40.
he is. He's at least 40.
Yeah.
He is hands down like my most important quality in a potential coach is experience. You can't, and I know people like the young guys, and you guys see I'm excited about Denard Wilson and Zach Orr, Chris Hewitt. These guys are kind of young, but someone like Johnny Hollins, who's got all that football experience, and look at the guys he's coaching. Look at what he's done with Greenlaw. Look at what he's done with Fred Warner, right? At the linebacker position. And linebacker is like the core of the defense, especially when you're playing like a zone heavy defense. So the problem though, Jacob, is he's battling illness, right? So it's something that if Drew was correct last night when he talked about it, he said that specific illness, it's like once you're diagnosed, you got like 5 to 10 years to live. So it's like, is he looking to take on a DC job, right? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't if I was him. I'd be like, you know what? Let me just kind of coach my linebackers, enjoy my life here, and get through this thing, kick this thing's rear end, and come out the other side better, right? So Johnny Hollins was just one of those guys. Johnny Holland was the guy that we uncovered here on the show, and he's like my top can. Like, I would love to see that dude.
Right.
And when I found out he was a former Packer, I was like, holy cow, this just makes us all – notice I didn't say he's a former – let's go look at the former Packers and see who best fits. It was who's got the best resume, right, the best experience, and they're having success right now in the league, which San Francisco's 3rd in points per play, 3rd in points per game, 5th in pass defense, 17th in rush defense. Then we find out along the way, he played for the Packers. Holy cow. Somebody said he's in the Packer Hall of Fame. I didn't know that.
So, yeah, he's in the Packer Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So that's why that one was just like, this is my guy. I would love to see that happen. But again, if you were to line up the numbers and say, okay, which defense do you want to pluck from, Baltimore, Kansas City, or San Francisco, hands down it's Baltimore. So if you're going to go young, get someone from Baltimore. If you're going for experience and he is available and wants to be DC, bring Johnny Holland home. # bring Johnny Holland home. Right? There you go. All right. Anything else, Jacob? You good, buddy?
No, that's it.
All right. Tim, you got anything, man?
Nope.
All right, Emilio?
Negative.
All right, y'all going to do a show tonight or not, you bunch of knuckleheads? What's the plan?
If I can get off by 7, I'll do it.
Oh,
for sure.
God, here we go. If
I don't have hosting privileges. All right. So Paul, if Tim sets it up and then Emilio hops on and then I'll hop on and then we'll get this mock draft going.
All right, what do you think, Tim?
Tim.
You sure about that?
Tim's like, I'm running the soundboard. I don't know about running the show.
I could, Jacob.
I'm trying to think of which one of our computers is going to compete with Clayton's NASA
That's the
computer.
Yeah, with the screen that comes all the way around with that. It's got the big curve, Tim, right? So it's just,
I can't do it on my end. I know that.
That's what she said.
Hey, y'all, this is the part that bothers me. You sat here and scolded these people, these fine people in the chat, and then here you are.
Take it.
Exactly. Listen, it'd be worth a shot. I think the listeners, the viewers would be like, hey, look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? The main thing with having a souped up computer is if you're going to show the videos and stuff, like when I'm sharing a screen, things like that, you'll probably be okay to try it with just what you got. Now, I don't know. Tim might have one of those 1989 Apple.
Got the green text. He types in, only got green text on the screen. Yeah.
I bought my computer from this guy.
You call me anything you want, but don't call me that.
That dude's speedboat is operating on MS-DOS. I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
You play Oregon
Listen,
Trail.
I can set it up for you guys. if y'all want to, all right. And you could give it a shot, and if it don't work, just end the broadcast and make sure you don't say anything inappropriate before you end the broadcast. That's all I ask. All right. I would love to not be sitting at dinner, get a notification to YouTube that, hey, your channel has been banned. That would be kind of top priority if we could prevent that from happening.
Oh no! We suck again!
All right, so there you go. All right. Everybody in the chat, we don't have an answer for you. Maybe there'll be a show. Maybe
Pay attention.
we'll figure it out.
Later.
You got to huddle
about
up.
it.
You got to huddle up and talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's people listening to this podcast going, would y'all shut up and end the podcast already?
That's
I don't
fair.
want to stop what I'm doing and hit skip to the next podcast.
That's fair.
So, all right, we appreciate everybody. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. This is a fun one. We covered a lot of info. We'll be back tonight, possibly for PTA Live. If not, we'll be back to probably won't do a morning show tomorrow. So we'll definitely be doing one show a day, guaranteed one show a day. But there's a chance I don't do one tomorrow morning. If not, then we'll definitely do one tomorrow evening. You may have a show tonight. We'll let you guys know as soon as possible. So I don't want to get on here and just try to think of stuff to talk about either. You know what I'm saying? If there's not a lot going on, there's no reason to pushing it out. But I would like to see you guys do a mock draft. That'd be fun. So with that being said, we're out of here. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.